I think where we have to start is Oklahoma City. They are now the best team in the league officially. I think for Oklahoma City, where I kind of came down on it was where they get their secondary creation just like night after night. And the thing is that like they have a number of different options from where it can come from. It's just that they need it to come every night, you know, like they need it to happen for them every night. And I would think that they'll find it. It's just that that's the big question for me.
It's funny. That was the exact phrase I had as well, was the secondary creation, the non-SGA minutes, who is creating offense, who is attacking, who has the ball in their hands, how efficient are they in those minutes? I mean, it's kind of funny to have this question whenever they're still the, top 5, in offensive rating, but it is one of those things that you can find yourself, when you nitpick, and that's what you have to do whenever we're talking about winning a championship, is what is the thing that maybe can deter that? And I think if we're sitting here, a few months from now and like, why did Oklahoma City not win the title? I don't think it's because they weren't good enough defensively. I don't think that's going to be the answer. They have too many good defenders, in my opinion, for that to be the answer. Obviously, injury would be, another factor. I think it's going to be J-Dub and or Chet and or, whoever weren't able to generate enough offense in the non-SGA minutes or off of SGA whenever teams are put 2 on the ball and say, hey, we're not letting him go for 38 tonight. Somebody else is going to beat us. I think they have the guys that can do it, to your point, but if there's somewhere where you can look, it could be that.
Yeah, and look, like Chet's missed like a few games here and there recently. Like it's hard to tell if it's like rest for the hip or whatever it is, but I'll be interested just to see kind of what he looks like in the playoffs in terms of being able to like handle something of like a mismatch creation offensive load. You know what I mean? Like that feels like a big question in the 12 games he's played since like his first 2 games back, where it felt like they were really kind of easing him in. He's averaged 15 points, 8.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and shot 51, 36, 68. It feels like the shot and like the overall ability to like get to to just get to his spots is still just not quite there yet. So I think he will be useful in the playoffs, just as like a great, 4 or 5 hybrid who can defend and who can make shots. I'll be interested to see like where the ability to get to his spots as a shooter and like shot creator kind of lands in the playoffs when things get even more physical and like refs allow even more bumping against like each other. Like that's going to be really tricky to me. I think J-Dub's been really good recently, actually. So like that really helps kind of ease the like burden a little bit of where this could land. And I think him having that experience in the playoffs last year will be really critical. Like, is it going to be like Aaron Wiggins? Is it going to be a like Cason Wallace? Is it going to be somebody else? Since Aaron Wiggins had that 41 point game back on February 1st. So these numbers are the last 23 games Aaron Wiggins has played. He's averaging 16 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting 50, 43, 82. So like Wiggins has been fantastic, and it could just be Aaron Wiggins is now like this incredibly awesome player who is on. I mean, like when we do best contracts in the league, like Aaron Wiggins is going to be on that, like almost certainly for me. So like he is in this incredible position where he's going to potentially really get to thrive in key playoff matchups. And it's going to be interesting to me.
That would be my other thing. I'll bring this up with another team when we talk about them potentially next, but is also just the lineup decisions. And I mean, I think you trust Mark Daigneault to make the right decisions, but they do have a lot of players, right? And yeah, SGA is going to be there. J-Dub's going to be there. Dort. But okay, how much do we play the iHeart and Chet lineup together? How much do we go to Jalen Williams? How much do we go to Isaiah Joe? Like those decisions, it's great to have all of these options But as I always say, you have to push the right buttons at the right time. So you would much rather have all of these lineup versatility and constructions. Absolutely. I'm not saying this is a negative. I'm just saying that when you have those, you have to choose the right ones. You can't get down a rabbit hole of trying to force the Chet iHeart minutes to work and it's not working. You're like, well, we paid him 35 million, whatever. And so we have to play him together. I don't think that will happen. I'm just saying that could be something if you get stuck in a certain way and it's the wrong lineup, or it's the Aaron Wiggins over this guy or Caruso over that guy. I just looked up, and that's another thing. Hartenstein and Holmgren have only played 13 games together, a total of 200 minutes. Now the net rating on that is 14. So it's been really good in those 200 minutes, but it's like, we haven't quite got the amount of minutes that maybe you would want between those two guys being on the floor together. Doesn't mean it won't be successful. Just saying I would want a bigger sample size of that just to kind of figure things out with those two guys out there.
No, I think that's the Chet and Hartenstein minutes are a really, really critical thing because, like, who do most people think is the biggest question mark for the Oklahoma City Thunder to get past? It's probably Denver, right?
Yeah, sure.
Just because of the Jokic experience. I mean, that's the lineup that you play in order to counteract Jokic. You have Hartenstein be able to like body him up, and then you have Chet come over and help. And Hartenstein and Chet, do you know how many minutes they've played together on the court this season?
NBA, 204.
Yeah, 204 is the number, and they've obliterated those minutes. Like they've won by 14 points per 100, and they score 129 points per 100 possessions. Right, like they're great. But yeah, like I think that getting more reps with that would be really valuable to me. It'd be really, really good.
Yep. And so like, I always just, again, we'll talk about this with the Cavs, to be honest, like I'll spoil it, but I love having versatility. You just have to make the right decisions when you have that lineup versatility. But again, we're nitpicking a team because they're awesome. But you're talking about winning a title. Yep.
Yeah, no. And like, to me, you need more than J-Dub on offense. Like I actually feel good about J-Dub as the second option for a team like this. Like when you have Shea, J-Dub as the second option is going to be fine, especially if he plays the way he's played over the last 2 months. It's more like you need more than two to get you there in the playoffs. Like I know that Denver did it with Jokic and Murray, but even then they still had other guys like really contributing, and it's who's going to contribute on a night to night basis. If Chet is good, not great necessarily on offense.
Sure.
Let's talk about the Houston Rockets.
Yep.
Rockets currently the 2 seed, even with this game that, they're currently down 9 against Denver. Jamal Murray has 36. He's been great in this game. To me, it's just, what do you get from Jalen Green on a night to night basis? Like he has 27 tonight and he's 7 for 20 from the field and has gotten to the line a ton, but he's also 3 for 12 from the 3-point line. Like they've been trying to like integrate him a little bit more into being the lead ball handler. And during this run, again, against like really, really bad teams, he has been fantastic. It's another like great May if you just look at the numbers for Jalen, where, if you remove, I think if you go basically from the Phoenix game from mid-May or mid-March onward, 29, 7 and 4, 23, 9 and 5, 28, 6 and 3, 37 and 13 against Philly. Although I, again, didn't love him in that game. 26, 7 and 2 against Orlando. And then against Miami was not very good. And then, against the Nuggets that I've like half been watching, I won't like make like full comment on this. It has felt like he has gotten to the line a ton, which is really good, but it's been like semi inefficient. But I'll want to like watch this game a little bit more closely before, making that full statement. It's just, what do you get from Jalen Green against good teams is kind of where I'm at on it. Do you consistently get Jalen Green performing well against good teams, or is it going to be a question mark?
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well. Like, who drives offense for them in the playoffs? I feel like they're going to guard because that's what Ime demands. And they have some really high level defenders and, some lineup versatility with how they do that when they're all fully healthy. We've talked about Amin Thompson plenty, Dylan Brooks, Tari Eason. Just okay, if you're going to put the ball in Jalen Green's hands, then can he consistently make shots at an efficient level and make decisions? If you're going to put it in Fred's hands because he's the vet, his efficiency is under 40% from the field. The 3-point percentage is up to 35% now. Do you put it in Şengün's hands, who's struggled to make shots at times? So, what does it look like for them on the offensive end in the playoffs, especially in the half court? And so that would be my thing for them. If they really make a push and not just winning a first round series against the Clippers or the Wolves or the Kings or something, if you win that and then you're going to go beat, what would that be? The Nuggets in the second round based off the standings right now, that's not always the best defensive team. So maybe you have a chance to really get it going. But that's been my question is who's the driving force of offense and can they consistently make shots, make the right decisions?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And by the way, this Nuggets game and, it's a 7-point game as we talk, this game was without Jokic too. They're losing at home. I haven't mentioned that yet, but, DeAndre Jordan's played 34 minutes tonight and the Nuggets are
DeAndre Jordan
winning by 7 and they're winning his minutes by 7. So that feels semi concerning, but again, I've only been half watching. I'm not going to sit here and tell you otherwise. Against top 10 point differential teams this year, Jalen Green has a 48.5 effective field goal percentage, which is in the 31st percentile of all players in the league. He is a 14th percentile 2-point percentage and a 17th percentile 3-point percentage against top 10 teams in the league this year. And that is according to Cleaning the Glass. So just consistency from Jalen Green is continuing to be the key for me. Şengün, he's held up defensively this year. I do want to see what it looks like in the playoffs for sure.
Yeah.
He's made a leap this year. I think that anybody who's bringing up his defensive rating and things to make cases that he's been some incredible defender, I think is just completely marginalizing the impact that the perimeter defenders have, such as Fred, Dylan Brooks, obviously Amen Thompson, who we talked about ad nauseum, Tari Eason as well, in terms of making his life easier. And that will 100% be the case in the playoffs. Those guys will still be there. But, Şengün needs to consistently continue to hold up in the playoffs when teams are going to relentlessly attack him and try to get him into space. That will be interesting to me.
Yeah. And my thing is for me, the Rockets are a little bit different than even as a 2 seed, incredible season. We talked to them about surprises, super positive things of the season. I'm not judging them on being title contenders in terms of, hey, this is where they absolutely should be. I'm still in a little bit in data collection mode if I'm the Rockets in terms of, to your point, how does Alperen hold up? The defense was better this year. How does it hold up in the playoffs? Jalen Green, throughout the season, we've seen some ups and downs, some really good things, some struggles. How does it look in the play? I would put the ball in his hands. Let's see what the ceiling is, even if it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
I want to know. I would play 10 minutes a game where it's I'm running my offense through Amen Thompson. Let's see what he can handle off. Here, that's the other thing. Sam, he can't shoot. How are they going to guard Amen Thompson in the playoffs? Can he attack that space and score efficiently, or does he not? Can he make the defenses pay? So they're in a really good spot organizationally, and I think it's awesome to get information on these guys in terms of where they're at and what you can do with them moving forward. And so I do judge them a little bit differently, and that's why I would be okay experimenting a little bit offensively and trying to figure it out, because I don't want to leave the playoffs still not knowing whether Jalen Green can handle that load in the playoffs, right? I want to see it and at least have a little bit more data.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point too. And, whereas we talked about the Knicks, their standard being in the Cavs, their standard being contending for a title this year, to me, the Rockets standard is we are in data collection mode. They still have a ton of young dudes. This window is wide open still.
Yes.
And they have a crazy amount of assets to move forward and go make a deal this summer if they want to. Let's see where this goes. You know what I mean? Let's get all the information we can, see what we need, And then we can like maybe contend next year in a big way and not just like, be on the fringes of it this year.
So like to that, I would be frustrated if I turn on Rockets playoffs game and the offense is solely around Fred, right? Like I know I mentioned putting the ball in Fred's hands. I don't want to see that. And it's not a anti-Fred VanVleet thing. It's just like as a Rockets, if I was a Rockets fan or someone in the organization, I don't need to see that. That's not the data I want to see. Or I don't need Dylan Brooks taking 20 shots or something like that. Like I want I'm not saying they shouldn't be a part of the offense. I hope my point's being made here. I just want to see, like, I want to try to put him in these situations, put Jalen in those situations, obviously Şengün as well. I want to find out as much as possible in terms of what they are able to do, what they are capable of in a playoff scenario. Maybe they perform really well. You win a series and you get to see it for a second series against an even better opponent. Like that would be what these playoffs are for me if I'm Rockets fan or in the organization or whatever.
The Nuggets, by the way, like let's just move to them. To me, the Nuggets, their biggest question is, I mean, like who is going to consistently perform offensively? I think we're at the point where I trust Jamal. I know that it's real up and down. I totally get it that if you look like night to night, it is messy for Jamal. Like he had 10 points against Portland last night in a loss, or was that 2 nights ago, I guess? And he had 12 points against Minnesota back on, March 12th. But if you look at the totality of what he's done, basically over his last like significant group of 30 games here, he's averaging 24, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, shooting what is this? 51, 42, 94 over his last 30. And that includes like the bad games. So Jamal to me is like basically back. It's just that the consistency might fluctuate like up and down occasionally on a game to game basis. By the way, Jamal made one of those free throws to make it a 5-point game. He is just like a real dude that is probably going to be able to carry them for probably 5 of their 7 games in a series, right? Something like that. That's what it feels like right now. And then like, where do they get the other offense? Like Aaron Gordon's been making shots recently and Christian Brown makes shots, basically, feels consistent to me. I don't know about you. Like, I guess that I'm kind of with Michael Malone when he says like, we want teams to leave Christian open. Like we feel like he's going to make those. I don't know, like he's at 39% this year, and it does feel like he's going to make those, like, over his last little group of games, 2 for 3, 2 for 8, 3 for 6, 4 for 5, 3 for 5, 2 for 5, another 2 for 3 in there. Like he's made 48% of his threes over his last 11 games even. So like if they're going to leave those guys open, they might kill you.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with the Nuggets are 2 things. One is the defense going to ratchet up in the playoffs. And some of this is Jokic. Like I give Jokic a lot of credit when we have like the MVP conversations. I always like to bring up his hands and stuff like that. But there are some really bad possessions. There are some really bad games. Like he's going to have to ratchet it up on the defensive end, and he's taken a huge offensive load. But that's who he is. But you're going to have to get, Christian Brown's going to have to really guard. Obviously, Aaron Gordon's going to have to really guard. They can't be this bad defensively in the playoffs. The second thing is, what is the rotation? Like I like that starting 5. I think there's some, synergy, chemistry there. Like you can take Aaron Gordon out, put Russ in. I guess you could take Christian Brown out, put Russ in. But, like, what does it look like in the non-Jokic minutes? What do you like? Do you actually play Peyton Watson in the playoffs this year? Is Julian Strawther going to get minutes? Are you just going to play those 6? Like, what does the rotation actually look like? And so to me, can Michael Malone press the right buttons in terms of Russ minutes versus non-Russ minutes, Peyton Watson, Julian Strawther? Like, can you push all of the right buttons with those guys and play them in the right moments, in the right lineups when you need them? I think that's going to be really, like, you're going to have to play Russ. I mean, he's one of their top 6 players, right? Like, I don't know that is there an argument against that? Like, I don't know that there is. And so
no, they're definitely going to have to play Russ in the playoffs, like 100%.
And so like, how do you manage that? Can you play him with the right lineups? Like, I feel like just like most people, he's better playing with Jokic. So then that means who doesn't play with Jokic as much. So like, just how do you navigate all of that? I think is probably the actual biggest X factor for me.
Yeah. So the minutes with the starting five that you mentioned there are plus 11, which is like what you want to see from a starting five that's like potentially contending for a title. Like you want double digit, net rating. That's your goal here. When you take Aaron Gordon off of the court, they're a plus 6. So, goes down a little bit. When you take Michael Porter Jr. off, they're like a plus 16. When you take Christian Brown off, they're a plus 14, right? Pretty good, right? Like those are strong numbers and what you're hoping to see from a team that by and large, like needs those role players to step up, right? Like I think that the Peyton Watson thing is very interesting to me. Like, are they going to try and like make that work in the playoffs? Because I feel like they've wanted to, especially last year. I feel like they wanted to, and like Malone just did not trust him. It felt like to me. Is he going to have that trust? He's been on a good little run recently, by the way. Like I feel like he's played pretty well since he came back from missing that little stretch. But like, I it's one of those things where like I don't know if Malone's going to trust him until I see Malone trust him in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the thing though is if he doesn't trust him, who are they playing? That means you're playing the 6 we've talked about. Is he going to trust Julian Strawther, who's the same age and has all of how many minutes, like 15 minutes in the playoffs last year? Like, are they going with DeAndre Jordan? Like, is Najee going to play in the playoffs after kind of not even being in the rotation for, chunks of this season, even though it's been a little bit more recently? Like, where else is he going to go? And so that's why I think it's the biggest X factor is who does he go with? And then can those guys perform? Can he push the right buttons? Is like, I know what I think about Jokic. I'm with you. I was a little sour on Jamal Murray coming into the year and the beginning of the year. I think he's kind of figured it out. I think Christian Brown has been incredible this year. What is it after those 5? What do you get from Russ and who else do you play?
So like here's mine for the Lakers, right? Can they consistently survive having to play as hard as they have to play, like rotating around the court defensively?
Yeah.
Like that is like they fly when they're at full strength. Like they are zooming around the court, like all across the place, because a lot of the time, like they play smaller, right? And like you really have to move around to cover all of the ground necessary. It's not nearly as conservative of a defense. Can you play 4 rounds in the playoffs like that? Honestly, like when LeBron is one of your main guys and you're asking him to do that night after night after night. And then on top of it, like some of the guys that they have on the court there, like Jared Vanderbilt gives up a lot offensively. You basically have to use him as a screener or else teams just aren't going to guard him. I'm intrigued to see how they manage the big small combination of like, how much do you play Jackson Hayes? How much do you go with the smaller lineup? And then can you just consistently play 2 months, really now like 3 months, because they have to, get back to playing that way here leading up to the playoffs of just like crazy high energy, high effort defensive basketball and survive when LeBron is your, one of your 2 guys along with Luka now.
Okay. So to your point, do you want to guess what the Lakers were in defensive rating in the month of February?
They were first.
Sam Vecenie, Do you want to guess what the Los Angeles Lakers are defensive rating in the month of March?
I would guess that they are 20th or so. I don't think it's like catastrophic, but I think it's like a little bit below average.
It is 19th. So, yeah. I mean, to your point, we knew they weren't going to be able to do it for an entire regular season stretch, right? But can you do it in the playoffs? Here's the other thing is, does another team figure that out, right? Like, do they figure out the ways to take advantage of it in those? Are they better attacking at switches and mismatches and, going at Luka or whoever, Dalton Connect? Like, can they attack those in a playoff series? Will be fascinating. And yeah, this was going to be mine as well. Can whatever they've implemented defensively and the schemes and all of that, does it play out better in the playoffs? Or is it something that these guys can do? Like, the rest is a little bit better in the playoffs, right? Like, you never play a back-to-back. And so again, and then if you don't play with your food, let's say, where are they at right now? They're fourth. Let's just say they beat the Grizzlies in 5, and then you get a good stretch there, But if you play 7 games against the Grizzlies with their offense and their pace, those guys are going to be worn down. And then you have a short break, and then you're right into now trying to do it to the Thunder. I think eventually that probably wears them down. So I am fascinated as well, because like offensively with those 3 guys, with Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, like, looks like Luka can make any big man with athleticism and lob ability look really good. I think they're going to score the basketball, but can they figure it out on the defensive end? Or was that kind of flash in the pan there in February?
I don't think it was flash in the pan. I feel like that's aggressive. But at the same token, I do feel like it's going to be hard to consistently do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
because flash in the pan kind of means like it was just like, maybe there wasn't a whole lot of true substance to it. Like, there's substance to this. It's just hard to sustain substance.
Yeah. And by the way, we're about to close down this Nuggets game. The Nuggets, like, Aaron Gordon, like, insanely fouled Jalen Green on a 3. And Jalen missed 2 of the 3 free throws. And then Michael Porter Jr. went down and made free throws in order to get it back up to 7. So the Nuggets are going to win this and get within a game of the 2 seed. Like, that is like, consistency defensively is the big question for the Lakers. Cause like, I think you and I believe that the offense is just going to be like a monster.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean,
like,
I believe
it's going to be hard to stop those dudes. Like, LeBron is a monster and Luka is, I don't know, one of the 5 best playoff performers in league history. Like, if you look at the numbers, I think he is one of the 5 best playoff performers in league history. Like, he is a monster when those lights come on. So to me, it's just about the defense. Like, can they'll figure out the offense. It's going to be fine. The defense is where it's going to be. Like, can you consistently play the way they have to play and make it work?
Yeah. So Luka's career playoff numbers in 50 games is 31 points, 9.5 rebounds, 8 assists on 46, 35, 72.
Good basketball player.
Good basketball player.
That's my take. Very good basketball player. I think I want to go to the Warriors. I'm sorry to Memphis fans. Like, I think the Warriors are who I want to talk about. What did you have for them? Because that feels like it's like Steph's hip is obviously the thing. Like, if he is not 100%, like 1,000%, they can't win the title. Like, they can't be in the mix really even. If he is at 100% though, what do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think the X factors then become the Pods, the Moody's, the Gary Payton II, like those guys. Because if Steph's healthy, I think I know what Steph can bring you. Jimmy Butler, I think we have seen like the proof there, the proof of concept in terms of how he can play off of Steph, how he can play with Steph, how he can then play in the non-Steph minutes, including something we brought up when the trade happened was increasing their free throw attempts, which was something they did not get a lot of. And then I think, Draymond kind of anchoring the defense and all of that. So I believe in those 3 guys, especially in the playoffs. What does Jonathan Kuminga bring in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Pods has played better since returning to the lineup. Can he do it in the playoffs? Moody's getting his chance. Can he knock down shots and provide some defense? Is it the Quentin Post, Trace Jackson Davis, Kevon Looney center rotation? Like, do you press the right buttons and get what you need there? So to me, it would come down to those guys in the role positions that we haven't seen any of those guys, like Looney, obviously, but we haven't seen those guys prove it in those roles. Can they do that? Like, that's what it would come down to for me.
Yeah. So two things for me with the Warriors. I'm glad you brought up the kids. Like that's the big one, right? Like your Moody's, your Kumingas, your Podses. Pods has basically been really good since he came back from that abdominal injury. 14 points, 5.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, shooting 46, 38, 77. I feel like Moses Moody has been like a really nice addition into that like little starting group that they have now working with Jimmy Butler, right? So, in this run, since Moody has basically been in the lineup, they are 16-5. He's averaging 12 points, 3.4 rebounds, 1.7 assists, doesn't turn the ball over, shooting 44, 36, 91. And like, he's a long defender, and he's not like a great defender, but he's a physical defender, right? So I think that really works. Kuminga, I just have no idea what to do with. Like, still, I mean, like we'll see what this is, obviously. Like, he is still just getting back here over these last few weeks. And like, he's scored in double figures every single game he's played since he's been back, which is great. But, what does this look like? Overall is going to be interesting because he's also shooting 43, 14, 76 in that time. So we'll see. And like, what lineups work with him is a question. The second thing for me is just what they do on the interior, right? Because I really like Quentin Post. Like, you and I think this show was the biggest Quentin Post hive people pre-draft of anybody. We spent an inordinate, frankly, probably too much time talking about Quentin Post pre-draft last year because he's a big that could shoot off of like real movement, and we were excited. I don't feel great about Quentin Post on defense in the playoffs. I'm just going to say that.
Completely fair.
Yeah, like that feels like a difficult thing. So they're basically going to have to go small, would be my guess. Maybe you go with some Looney like consistently in the playoffs, but my guess is that it's probably going to have to be pretty small. And Looney has been like intermittently in the lineup basically since they've made this move. Like, if you look at his last few games, it's 5 minutes against Atlanta, 9 minutes against Toronto, 6 minutes against Milwaukee, 15 against Denver, having to deal with the Jokic matchup, but then 6 minutes against New York. Right. So it's hit or miss, but what I like about them is that they do at least have some answer there that Kerr trusts with Looney, and they have the ability to go small, and Jimmy is comfortable guarding up the lineup at least. And I mean, like, I don't know if you've been paying attention to like what Draymond has done defensively in this last little run. I mean, he is like, I know Draymond Green just made that statement about being like, oh, like I am, I should win defensive player of the year or whatever. I genuinely think he's been the best defensive player in the league since basically like the Wemby injury. It almost feels like he felt like there was a chance to win defensive player of the year with Wemby being out and decided, oh no, I'm going to go do this. Like, I'm really going to do this. He would definitely be on an all defense team for me, at least right now. I don't know if he would be first team or second team, but he's definitely a top. He has been the best defender in the league since like the All-Star break, I would argue.
He also has to hit the game threshold. I don't think either of us put him on it recently, on the most recent one.
Yeah, because I think we thought he wasn't going to hit the game threshold. We used like 51 games or something like that, and he had played 52. The other thing is, this will get real interesting. He has a few games, those may be exhibition games. I thought there was a couple games in here where he didn't quite hit 20 minutes, but that's not this episode. It is something to look out for with him in terms of like his eligibility for defensive player of the year / all defense. And anybody who wants to say, well, you guys didn't even have him on, that was why. Like, he was, it didn't look it was
like
the game's threshold.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Over his last 20 games, 2.2 steals and 1.2 blocks per game. And just like manning the five and consistently like playing exceptionally well. So he has, let's see here. Let's look at the minute loads. He has a couple of games of 19 minutes, which will count, and that will be fine. He can get to 63 there and be okay.
But
like 60. But he has a 3-minute game in here too against Washington. So he has to get to 66, and they have how many games left? They have 11 games left. So he has to play 9 of their 11 games.
Yeah. Which is definitely it's definitely possible. It's just like that's one rolled ankle, like not even a severe rolled ankle, but just like a week's worth of a rolled ankle, and now you're not even eligible anymore. So it's something to look out for with him. It's funny, you find yourself tracking these things now. Like Cade, who I've been screaming is definitely all NBA, finally played his 65th game the other day. I was like, okay, like now I don't have to knock on wood every single time I say it to make sure he's, so Draymond's going to be right there with this, but you're right. He's been incredible defensively.
Well, like the annoying one is Isaiah Stewart. Like Isaiah Stewart is not going to be eligible, which is like just like a bad ruling, frankly, by the NBA in terms of how to manage those things. Jaren Jackson, I think, is now within 2 games, if I remember correctly.
He was another one I was wondering how close we were getting with him.
Yeah, he has 2 games left. Like he's going to sail past it and be okay. Yeah, look, like it's now like a real race for defensive player of the year to make.
It's going to be way more fun. Like the Wemby injury and health stuff sucks, and hopefully he's doing well, but it made that whole conversation, because here's what it did also. I don't agree with this, but it opened up people to the Dyson Daniels argument, which again, I don't necessarily agree with.
I don't agree with, but I get it.
For DPOY, I don't agree with. Maybe first team all defense, but with Victor gone, now it's like Jaren versus Mobley. Now Draymond's back in it. People who want to look at that disruption of Daniels gives them an opportunity to get in there with that. So it's made it a more fun conversation, if nothing else.
That I agree with. It's made it a more fun conversation. Real quick, we'll buzz through Memphis and Minnesota and the Clippers, frankly. Memphis, I don't know what you had for Memphis. Like that the whole thing just feels like an X factor to me in the playoffs for them.
Who's going to be their primary offensive option in the playoffs, Sam? Can you
It'll be Ja. I think it'll be Ja.
I think it will as well, but I've just watched so many games where it's been Jaren, and then it was Bane, and then it was like, I'm sure they'll figure it out because they've played together so much. It's interesting. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you're relying on 2 rookies a lot as well. And we've mentioned this multiple times, including Jalen Wells to be your primary perimeter defender. I know Vince Williams is back now. It'll be interesting.
It'll be very interesting to see how they manage this situation. They just have a lot they have to figure out to me. Minnesota, I'll say this about Minnesota. We had a lot of questions about Julius Randle. And I still have some questions about how this will work in the playoffs with Julius Randle in terms of like teams just collapsing the paint and saying, Ant, go beat us from 3, etc. Since Julius Randle has been back, they are 9-2. He's averaging 18, 6-6 and shooting 53, 37, 79 and has been like quite good. It feels like when I watch their games. I want to give him some love. Like we had some real questions when he was playing earlier in the year before this injury. And I feel like he has been much better since returning. And I really like the way that they're playing with him right now. Now, is that enough for them to like get the 6th seed and, potentially become like a playoff threat? I'm skeptical, but like that X factor, which it is to me, like that is their biggest X factor, along with whatever they can get from Mike Conley, whatever they can get from some of their bench guys. Like how they manage the front court is key. And I think that Randall has at least made it a good problem to have now, as opposed to a bad problem to have, which is what it was earlier in the year.
Yeah. Give him his kudos, because like whenever he was out and Naz Reid was playing, I was like, did they just bring Julius Randle off the bench and keep this thing the same and go from there? I don't think that was ever actual option for the organization. I'll go somewhere a little different. I think Anthony Edwards' decision-making is an X factor in the playoffs. Like, can you be the best player and not, I'll say this, his two-way impact. And that includes being really, really good defensively as well. Because I've kind of said multiple times, I think he could be one of the better, especially point of attack defenders in the league when he's really locked in. And so like, okay, during a regular season, I understand if we only see it sporadically. I want to see it locked in the playoffs. And then on the offensive end, when they continuously put two on you, can you consistently make the right decision? Whether that sometimes it is to attack the second defender and go get a bucket, but sometimes it's throw Julius Randle the ball and let him make the decision or whatever. So to me, that's if we're talking about the ceiling of them being like a contender, making some noise, it's Anthony Edwards being the best two-way player in those series, and he has the potential to do it. He is that level of talent. So it's him playing at that level on both ends of the floor.